and I'm not great at technical terms, but could be a little bit softer over the back, taking the contact a little bit more forward. In fact, actually, quite quietly underneath him, the horse has sort of broken out a bit in a black sweat, and that would all show
softer over the back. Could you put that into English for ignoramuses like me?
Yeah, it's I hate these technical expressions because softer over the back. What the hell does that mean?
Okay, so what it really means is that the horse needs to swing more and be looser. At the moment, the horse is looking a little tense. Its head and neck is a little too short. And obviously there in the Holt rein back, he's looking very inattentive. And interesting line in the rein back there, he was very crooked. And poor Andrew's having to do a real job just to get the horse settled.
4s and 5s, I see.
Yes. I thought I'd have found that really hard to give a mark above 4. I couldn't even have given the rein back 4.5.
No, I'm surprised about that. They've gone very passive on that, haven't they?
Even have understood the 3, to be honest.
Absolutely.
We're being bought cappuccinos. God, life is perked up at Radio Badminton.
Again, the extended walk. Andrew doing very well to keep the horse actually in walk. The horse is a lovely horse. Really nice mover.
Now, that was bad news. The horse was so ahead of him. He's going to be lucky not to jump out of here.
Yeah. So, wrong strike off. Now, let's pray they don't give this a 4.
They... I'm going to pull your leg for 2 solid days. No, they're giving it 2s.
Thank God for that. Because that was actually quite bad. And
that was bad.
I think just we should actually say what these marks represent in words, shouldn't we?
Well,
a 2 is bad, and a 1 is very bad, and a 0 is not performed.
I'd say anything below 5 is bad, isn't it?
It is really, yes. 5 is sufficient. And
you dread seeing a 5 go up on the board.
Yeah, 5 means the movement's been performed, but not in a particularly nice way.
It's been real tight, this horse, because he's got such good quality work. Now being rewarded with 3 7s across the board for a flying change. And I mean, if I was the jockey up there, I would strangle the creature.
I mean...
Well,
yes, because this horse is not performing like he's done before.
Badminton horse trials, it's done a good test in the past. It moves really well. It's obviously very capable, extremely athletic. Andrew's now being very tactful. He's able to give with the reins and show a longer neck. Yes, we'd like it even longer, but then we'd like him to remain in the arena. This has taken quite some riding, this horse in this arena today.
Yeah, and we've also got some resistance to the contact as well. The horse popping his tongue out now and again, which isn't helping.
Well, that's why I said I'd quite like to strangle him.
So this horse is having a bad day at the office.
I think the horse is trying to strangle itself the way it's going, so I wouldn't worry about that.
Well, it is hugely disappointing when you put all the work in, through the winter for a major event like this. And, this is very obviously not jockey.
Yeah, the atmosphere's really got to the horse, which is a real shame. The horse is a capable, very nice horse.
Whoa.
Oh.
Shaking its head in halt and...
He wants to go and join the Spanish riding school.
Actually, I thought that was quite a nice halt and salute, wasn't it, for Spanish riding school? A nice little lavard to finish.
Is that what they call that?
A lavard, yeah. In the Spanish riding school, yes.
So basically when the horse comes up.
Yeah. So,
I saw the Spanish riding school in Budapest the other day. They are fantastic.
Yes, they are. Really
they are amazing. Spanish riding school
I think the
based in Vienna.
On a 1, I think he could do with a very good cup of coffee.
Well, he's got 3s as well, so not a good day for Andrew Hoy.
Interestingly, just let's talk about this halt, because the judge at sea gave a 1 for the halt the first time round. Now, I think the halt the second time round was a lot worse, because the horse actually halted, wouldn't stand, and then reared. So I'm surprised.
Is it just for the halt? You've got the book in front of you, the test. So it's got nothing to do with one step before or leaving the arena.
The other one does. So that's why we did. I think we were right there. The judge at sea was a meanie with the first 1 that she gave.
So fruitcake.
He gave for the whole.
Fruitcake.
It's going to go quite fast cross country, isn't it?
Well, I can tell you.
He's having a look at the first fence anyway.
It didn't go too fast the whole way round last time, did it?
No, he was eliminated in the cross country, but got 38.3 in Burley, so fingers
let's hope
crossed.
he keeps all that energy and
Yeah.
it jumps like a dream on Saturday.
Well, Piggy French, good luck when you come to interview Andrew Hoy, but he's a charming man, and the 2006 winner probably hasn't had his best dressage test at badminton. But this man, Oliver Townend, is delighted. We did a Facebook Live draw. Oliver Townend was obviously seems to get =1 spot more often than not, but the draw that Hugh Thomas and Emily King conducted ensured that Oliver didn't come out, well, not ensured, he came out as he has, and so he's pleased, and he's got 2 horses competing here, and this is the first of them, and it is the horse that he's riding called Samuel Thomas. It's his ride here. First at badminton for the horse. Oliver, obviously a regular competitor here and winner here in 2009. And I'm just trying to look at Sam Thomas's best performances. Well, his
First horse in a double bridle today. They can compete in a snaffle or a double, and no, judges don't necessarily prefer one to the other. What they're looking for is the quality of the work under whichever bridle. There you are, that's a bit technical.
Can
for
I
me
just
this
offer a bit of housekeeping? Not for you two, but if you are listening on the headsets, unfortunately, there is someone broadcasting or trying to broadcast illegally on our frequency, which is causing some interference, and we are on the case. We are doing what we can to stop them. But we are still online, and we are sorting out, so I hope it's on the arena, it's probably absolutely fine and around the surrounding areas, but once you get outside and you're listening in the cars, you may find someone trying to broadcast over us. So frustrating it is, but we are aware of the problem. Now, back to what really matters, and Oliver Townend trying to get off to a good start at this year's badminton.
Well, it was a very good entry, nice and straight, and he's done that first medium trot. As Peter and I watch this grappling for words, I think, Peter, here's going to be the explanation of how you might get this to an 8 as either a judge or a trainer, because it's looking very solidly onto the 7th, and with his way of moving, it's just not the easiest horse to if you were a trainer. I think
no, it's not, Pammy, and I think half the problem, it looks rather tight, doesn't it? You know, he doesn't look like he's swinging through his back, and he looks rather short and tight in his neck. One thing the judges haven't so far picked up is the fact that he's got his tongue stuck out to the left, very slightly.
your eyesight for a judge is outstanding. That's to be taken down.
So what are you saying? Most judges don't know what they're...
well, that's what she's trying to say. But yeah, it's only because we don't give her high enough marks for her liking. That's the problem.
I think you're fairly fair, actually. You would give me a 2 when it's due. And
yes, you probably, if you didn't...
7 if it's due, and the days of 8s are over.
9s are... Fantasyland.
They're dreams of long ago. Yeah, it's a little bit tight, as Pete said. I hadn't quite seen the tongue. Ian Woodhead trains this, stayed with me last night, plus most of the family. And we didn't actually discuss training last night, so he didn't tell me he was going to win.
Were you on the Sancerre then last night?
No, I drink very little these days. Other faults, but I gave up smoking, you know. Nearly perfect now.
Gosh, you are.
If I last 2 days of not swearing, that's a miracle.
Right, well, yeah, you've improved over the years, that count. It's only got to about 1 last year. 2 or 3. Petey, if she does, we just have to let her go with it.
Absolutely.
You have to hit me.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, we didn't say anything about the walk, and that's because I think that this is what... There's good riding here from Ollie, eking out every mark. Nice expressive canter. But the walk steps were disappointing. Whoops, that was a bit more disappointing, Peter.
Yeah.
It was a flying change that didn't happen.
Yeah, so the horse forgot to bring the hind leg through, so it was very late behind. Then again, we would think that that was a fairly bad change. No, somebody gave it a 6. Well, that's really interesting. They obviously didn't see something.
Sitting at the angle, weren't that
I can't.
She
no,
couldn't miss it, could she?
No.
Who is it,
actually.
Em?
Judge at M, whoever that is.
We're not going to name names.
No.
Why not? Well, can I?
Yes, you can. You can look it up in the programme.
I
as well
can,
as
half,
watching the test.
Well, it means something to me, but not quite as much as you.
This is
You know what I mean.
just showing underlying tension. And then again, I do know, because I used to fall off quite regularly at badminton. You know, when you're riding a horse that's got to jump the fences on a Saturday, turn out on the Sunday, fit and sound, these are completely different horses to the dressage world that perhaps my friend Peter would be a little bit more closely connected to. But nevertheless, those top 10 places rely on good marks in the dressage arena. That was a well-ridden change, but this horse isn't just really letting Ollie in and finds it difficult, as he argued with Ollie in that last change, to really be soft and harmonious. How's that?
Well done. No,
better.
that's very good. Very good summing up there, Pammy.
I'm improving.
Yeah, yeah.
Top work, Pammy. Keep it up.
Yeah,
Two more days to get. Full 2 days to go.
Does this horse jump? Let's hope so.
Well, it's part of the game there. But anyway, fair play to Oliver Town. I'm looking here.
Look at the stats.
I am looking.
Rupert.
Yeah, but
I want to hear clear round badminton, clear round Burley.
well, he hasn't competed at badminton before, this horse.
Try Burley.
Burley, best.
Buccalo.
No, hang on.
Lamoulan.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look. Best current form horse. It hasn't got. It's improving. Burley last year, 53.4 dressage.
Right.
And cross-country picked up 9.6 time faults.
So there you are, you see. It's a talented jumping
And
horse.
finished 7th at Burley last year with
there you
63.
are.
Okay.
You see, and this is, Peter, you're now having an insight into how difficult it is to gain enough marks in this arena on a talented horse when jumping.
Well, we'll look forward to hearing from Oliver in a moment. I don't know what Little Baird has just tweeted. Mary Hollis Baird. Hello from the States. What do you all think of the coloured points on shad bellies now? ? E.g. Hoy's teal. Now,
What?
That is gobbledygook to me.
Oh, okay. No, I know what this is.
Can you
Shad
guess that?
belly is the American term for tailcoat.
Well, there you are.
So you learn something every day. I knew that because I
Peter?
go out to the States quite a lot, and I was like, what are they talking about? Shad belly.
What?
Yes. So a shad belly is a tailcoat.
Right?
And so what she's talking about is what do we think about the different colours on the the waistcoat tips and things like
Well,
that.
I think it's a great thing that bling and colours and fashions are moving with the times.
Yeah.
With dressage.
Well, with dressage, I'm really surprised because I was always led to believe that the horse trials was much more traditional.
I think it is.
And people are changing, aren't they? I mean, with his tailcoat, Andrew Hoy's tailcoat, and people wanting to wear white gloves.
Shall
and
I wear
things.
pink at Haddington next week?
Yes.
The Grand Prix.
Yes, good idea.
Did you see the score there? It's gone from the screen, but we'll have to get that
No.
in a moment.
So for the listener who thinks that we're not watching, it is now confirmed fact.
Yes, well, because I've got a poll in the way, and that poll is, but it was, I saw a 4.9, but I didn't see the first figure, but so I would it have been a 44?
very much
So,
doubt
54.
that.
It's in the 50s.
anyway, Tina Cook.
Tina Cook looking very traditional, lovely top hat, beautifully turned out, British team colours, unmistakably British.
Yeah, and this is Calvino, a 12-year-old bay gelding, who hasn't competed. The horse hasn't competed at badminton before, and I'm just looking at what Calvino did at Pau last year. Finished 16th, opening up with a dressage score of 48.8, and then picked up some time faults on the cross country.
And now, of course, the British team under Chris Bartle So I was listening on the way in, Rupert, to you, your dulcet tones at
Thank you.
Western Burt. Somebody had said that it will take some time for this to perhaps show in the results.
Piggy was.
Well, there you are, but you were in the background,
Yeah.
mumbling. So, you know, I don't know actually who's out there training each and every individual. I'm sure Chris is watching on. It's a very elegant, good-looking horse, a little bit strong in the head, is the old-fashioned way of perhaps saying it. But a nice mover.
I found the drudge at M is Christina Klingspor.
Well, she wants to cheer up.
Martina Plua is at C, and Anna Meta Binder is at E. Okay?
Thank you. We will forget that probably.
But
This is reasonable flow, reasonable steps there for 7s. It perhaps could show a bit more expression, Peter, for the 8s.
Absolutely. It looks very correct. Nice angle in the shoulder in.
Quarters nearly led there.
Yeah, she just didn't quite get enough bend in that half pass. The horse should be looking a little more to the left and looking where he's going.
Now, I know we haven't mentioned the Carl words yet.
Yes.
And there's probably a large number of people in mourning, but this is where Carl would point out that we really want a U under the neck and not a V. And I know that there will be listeners who are in mourning. I've gathered he's taking 2 days off resting.
well, he's obviously stratosphere now. But Peter, would you go for a U or a V? What do you like? A U or a V?
It is definitely the U, and it's a very good way of spotting whether the horse is too short in the neck. You should see between the chin of the horse and the neck, you should see a nice clear U shape underneath there, and at the moment when the horse is too compressed in the neck, it becomes a sharp V.
There you are. So we've got that explanation. Now, have a guess on the walk. We've got 8 for the halt, and a 6.5 and a 6.5.
So one judge
isn't it?
is saying it's a good halt, and the others are saying it's a mediocre halt. That's an interesting...
E has gone for an 8 there, and E is Anna Meta Binder.
Well,
The
she
other-
would actually have the best view. Well, I don't know. They've all got seed. Should have seen that. Perhaps it stuck its tongue out a little at the side. It's a big difference, really. An expressive flying change, but again, for me, just a little bit tight, not quite soft enough, taking the rein forward.
Yeah, it's quite obvious, wasn't it, that he became a little hollow in his back and was too high in the head and neck, wasn't it?
I mean, I bet he's got some thoroughbred in. I shouldn't think this is a very easy horse to really ride out. Having said that, that's a impressive extended canter. Tina coming across the arena. The flying change for me could have just stepped under a little more with the left hind, so I couldn't give that a 9. Did you see that, Peter?
I did,
Or
I
you
did.
blink?
But again, M has got it. She's given a 6. The other two have given 6, 7 and 7.5. It'd be interesting to see what M wants in the flying change.
Well, unfortunately, we aren't able to put in a spy camera.
No.
That'd
Well,
be good.
if you go, presumably you might see her, because Pammy, you nip over to the members area, you might see Christina at lunch.
I actually now try and avoid the judges at lunch.
Okay. Well,
I'm a person that they like to get at. Because I've got at them for the previous 3 hours.
Okay. Well, Em's copping some flack this morning.
Yeah, really, Peter's completely right. It is difficult to comprehend for people watching dressage. It's difficult enough for the riders to understand. Here again, we've got a 5 and a 7.
I don't understand this, because actually the horse performed 2 good flying changes. Yes, you could say perhaps it was a little tense, but they were nice, and we had a 5 and a 6 and a 7.
Whatever's happening, these judges are the most erratic on this test this morning, from what we've seen. Wouldn't you agree?
But Even
Well,
that one
yes,
we got.
They've
surprised.
disagreed
Yes, they have
the
disagreed.
most.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's very different. If it's 7 or 7.5, or 6 or 6.5, that's fair enough. But when one's saying it's good and one's saying it's not good, that's not so
food
easy.
for thought then. We wait for the score of Tina Cook and Calvino, but in the meantime, let's go back to Piggy.
Now joined by Oliver Townend. Oliver, I could only see the first half of your test, but what I could see is you've done wonders on that horse because he doesn't find it easy. He's not built for this phase. How did you feel that he went?
He's a little bit as he is. It's frustrating because, you know, you could obviously just move the judges outside and mark him what he does out here, but a little bit of tension, and as you say, he's not built for the job, so it makes my life very difficult, but at the same time it's a very proper track and he loves his cross country in general, so hoping that he'll nearly stay on that score, which is what happened at Burley, and he finished 7th, so hopefully everyone will forget my dressage and hopefully see some other good bits.
And is it as good a badminton track as you've seen over the last few years?
I'm a massive fan of it. I think he's done an unbelievable job. Very, very brave job to do that your first time. He's made it as big as it's ever been, I think, and as tough as it's ever been, and I think it's a real test, and hopefully it won't be a dressage competition.
Well, both your horses aren't the easiest of horses to ride, so we'll be seeing Oliver Townend at his best through this week, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Tot.
That's Oliver Townend talking to Piggy French after his test. Just to confirm the leaderboard at the moment, Mark Todd is leading with 42.9 on Leonidas. Zagreb and Alexander Bragg in second at 44.6. These are the official confirmed scores. And can you see Tina
Cook
Cook's?
has gone into third with 47.1, despite them all disagreeing. Actually, the averages at the end, somehow they've agreed to disagree, because it doesn't look as converse as each and every individual mark appeared.
Well, now we've got the man. Welcome return to badminton. 35 amazing completions he's had without winning, but he's back. He missed last year, obviously, following that injury in 2015. But he's here back riding the first of his 2 horses. Kwanzaa is the horse that he is riding here, a 14-year-old bay mare. Hasn't competed at badminton, this horse, before, but he's got an Arreo going later. And he is, let's just check what he may have done on this horse. I'm trying to look through, but obviously we'll be expecting to go well. And
that's always the commentator's curse.
okay.
Because
He's
the
all right.
entry was good, going around was good, and then the halt, he backed away from the hand and broke into canter on the move off. Peter?
Yes,
you nodded off?
Expensive mistake.
Really?
All
No, I
fours.
haven't nodded off yet.
Keep it together, Peter. We've got a coffee break coming up soon after Hannah Sue Burnett.
It's getting a word in edgeways, actually.
Well done, Peter. You know, just
There we are.
fight for your rights, Peter.
Absolutely.
Don't sit there quiet as a mouse in the corner. Perk up. If you see something, put Pammy in her
where?
In her box.
In a box.
Yeah.
Mind you, that must be hard to do.
Next time she goes out to Lou, we'll just
You
lock her in
lock
there
her
for a
in,
bit.
yeah. Oh dear, mother. What's the sock?
Right, well, I'm a huge fan of this rider. And yet, the start off of this test has been a little bit disappointing. And, Peter, is this trot going forwards enough for you? It moves well.
It does move quite well, but it does. What he can't do really is he can't push her to the bit enough, can he? She resists a little bit, and so he's got her in a bit of a sort of a downhill frame. He can't really get her to engage enough.
And so here we admit that neither of us could do a better job either.
I think
She doesn't look particularly easy today, as is just proving in the walk.
Yeah, so what you were seeing, perhaps saying it's not going forwards enough, it's perhaps he's having to be careful because this walk obviously looks quite tense, doesn't it?
Do you like mares?
Mares can be fantastic.
I love mares.
If you get a good mare, they can try so hard for you. When you get one that doesn't want to try, they can be very frustrating.
Sounds like life, that.
Did you have a mare you took to Grand Prix?
Have I? I've ridden mares, yes.
To Grand Prix?
No, actually, no. Only small tour with
I know
mares.
you had a very good stallion.
Yes, I've had a lot more stallions than I've had mares, but I rode a very nice mare for a few years, and she was great.
So the marks here really ranging from the 3s to the 7s, reflecting the good bits of work that she does, or this mare is really trying to run so far ahead of Andrew Nicholson, she doesn't really look as if she can be bothered with it today.
Yeah, she's obviously boiling over a little bit. Again, somebody didn't agree. He gave a 4.5 for the flying change, and the other two judges gave a 6, so they sat on the fence.
Good. You're criticising the judges.
Yeah.
You're one of us now,
What?
Peter. I really feel you become one of us.
He can get a certificate.
No, it's a national sport, isn't it? Judge bashing.
Do you know, Rupert, he is a very good judge. I will say that. He says it as it is on the test sheet.
I think Andrew's doing a great job, actually, with this horse. It doesn't look easy. He's having to nurse her through this test, isn't he?
Well, you and I know what this canter could feel like. It's sort of saying, touch me if you dare,
Yes.
and sit quiet, and I might just give you something. You can let go of me a bit, but not too much.
So again, we can see here that the horse doesn't really want to stretch down, and so it's a good movement to test to see whether the horses are relaxed and in the right training scale. Could have had
That was
a little,
nice.
Yeah, could have had a little more spring, but it was very nice. Oh,
Okay.
they all agreed 7-7-7, so they all managed to agree on one flying change.
The second one, not quite. I can understand the one at M. There was just a little more tension in that flying change than there was the other one. I think the mare's ready now to do a test. That was a better trot. So often you come down that last centre line, you think, God, if I could keep going now, I'd do a good test. So, probably not the test that Andrew had hoped for, but as we heard from Ollie, being very philosophical earlier, it is going to be a cross-country event.
Well, I've just got some tweets in. Vicky Mahaffey has said, we arrived, kiss, kiss, very excited. And she's looking forward to it with their earpieces on, so I don't know whether they're in the arena, but Vicky's ready to enjoy her day. And Laura Priestley-Cooper has just said, the Fab Badminton Radio is back again, live commentary from Badders Dressage. So thank you. Do tweet us, Peter and Pammy.
Yeah, we haven't had any technical tweets
Well,
yet.
you went off to go and do whatever you needed to do, and we did have a technical question,
Did we?
didn't we?
Oh,
Yes.
Luckily, Peter answered.
Yes.
Yes, and he knew what he was talking about,
Yeah.
Pammy. And so it was perfect. And all was well with the world. But we got one more before a coffee break, or a Sancerre break, as Pammy may be having, because there is a bottle of Sancerre in the studio here. But Peter has earned his spurs already. So what's the score on the doors there, Peter?
54.9, 7th place.
7th place, leader Mark Todd, Alexander Bragg, Cedric Liardville, well, Tina Cook has actually gone into 3rd with her score, but Mark Todd is the early pace setter, And we have another of the Americans. This first session bookended by American riders. And it is Hannah Sue Burnett who is coming in.
Attractive horse.
30-year-old.
You don't judge them going around the outside of the arena, but I was taught years ago by the well-known Sheila Wilcox, who won this event 3 times. From the moment you're on the horizon of the judges, the subconscious thoughts start.
Okay, that's an interesting
I'll tell you what,
point.
this is very deep.
That sort of slightly went over my head, actually.
Yeah.
but
Give me-
Well,
disagree.
look, if you see a really nice partnership, do you
Yeah.
not sort of go, oh, good? Or
Of
if you
course.
see a horse approaching the arena in a white foam, snorting and jumping up and down, you think, oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Subconsciously, you don't say it to anybody. And, of course, you're a very important judge. It doesn't affect your marks at all. But I think I was taught from the moment you're on the horizon to the moment you're out of sight. So if you want to
Yes.
swear or look unhappy or cry, go back to the lorry.
Okay.
Smile at the
Exactly.
judge.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I think we'll try and come up with the best bit of psychobabble as the quote of the day. I want you to give, but not that necessarily was psychobabble, but you know what I'm trying to
Thank you.
Because I'm
Rupert.
help you on your way. Well, I can see that it's very solid advice. But Hannah Sue Burnett and Harbour Pilot coming in. The 14-year-old Bay Gelbick, she's making a debut here, and she scored 43.2 at the Lexington
Thoroughbred.
Irish Sport Horse by cruising.
Loads of thoroughbreds.
ISH? What's that mean? Was that
I'm
correct?
very bad at breeding, but such an attractive horse. Doing its first entry and salute, 6.5s, hedging the bets, I call that mark. And the medium trot was in a good rhythm. Right shoulder in, Peter's gone to sleep again.
No, I
Was
haven't. I'm
fine.
watching,
Are you
I'm
trying to make
watching.
up your mind like they are?
And she finished 5th last week at Lexington on a horse called Under Suspension. But she scored 43.2 on this horse in Lexington last year. Trying to see where she finished.
Everything's looking fairly good, isn't it? It's
Fairly
not
good,
look-
and that's where the 7s are.
Yeah. So,
So for the 8, a little more uphill.
and a bit more
Energy.
expression and energy in the trot. I was quite surprised, actually. I was contemplating when you said you thought I'd fallen asleep. I thought the 7.5 for the medium was perhaps a bit on the generous side.
Sometimes.
Welcome to the world of thoroughbred horses doing extended trots.
But she's showing
Medium
nice
trots.
transitions, and it's all in the same balance, which is nice.
Explain.
So it would be fairly good, would it not? I mean, it
Yes,
wasn't
it is.
a 9.
It is fairly good, and they have given fairly good.
Pammy, explain to me the thoroughbred, what you're saying about the thoroughbred.
Well, it's
Why
elegant, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know, it just...
it
I'm
works.
going to get a lecture at lunchtime all about cruising. So I'm not great at breeding, but if I looked at this horse in the stable, it has a lot of quality. Will that do you?
That's good for me.
Walk could cover a little more ground, march a little more forward, extended walk.
Again, it's a nice walk, isn't it?
It's a 7,
It is.
or in the eyes of the judge at C, a 6.5, and the eyes of the judge at M, a 7.5.
Or the extended walk actually got 2 6.5s.
Yeah,
I thought it was okay. It could have been a bit looser over the back. I'm using your terms now.
no, I don't generally.
You're morphing
I
into
just
Pammy,
use. I've got a few words written down here, like connected, over the back, using the back, should be more through from behind. They're all expressions that are double Dutch, really. More energy, yes. More active, yes.
They're good words, aren't they? Yes. Over
Well-
the back is a bit of a strange one, and I can't believe I just used it.
I can.
You put those words into my mouth.
I did. You fell into my trap. Now, I would love, and I'm sure she would love, to get closer to the 8. So, Peter, you're a trainer. What would you want to see?
I would like to see a little bit more uphill, a bit more activity and energy.
Good.
Would you like to see that as well?
Well, I would. But, you know, so we'd tell her, can you push a little more? Can you use your legs a little more? Can you just have it a little bit more uphill? It might explode like we saw Andrew Hoyd's horse. So these are all things that Peter and I don't actually know.
I mean, I think she's doing a nice job. I think it's
a solid
relaxed.
7s. That's lovely. That's the best we've seen for...
Yes, that's coming a nice stretch, though.
Really good stretching forward to the ground. Towards the ground, sorry. Wouldn't want to be on the ground. As she's coming to her 2 last flying changes. That was expressive. And we're giving it an 8 now at last. Perhaps she heard us, Peter. That's good.
Yeah, 2 flying changes were nice.
Now, this test is just
7.5s.
getting better towards the end.
The horse is a lovely balanced type, isn't it? It's uphill in a nice way. It's got a lovely neck.
Oh, you see, we could be wrong. Because she did that transition to trot and then it recanted on the other leg. And we just don't know if she was to put more leg on, whether it just go a bit tighter.
Well,
I think that's the case there.
but can she be pleased though with that?
She can. I think the difficulty here is, as Peter said, it sits on the 7s. You want to give it an 8. So then the trainer in you kicks in and says, is the 8 achievable? And actually only the rider knows.
Okay, well, now it's time for a little break. So you can unwind for 20-odd minutes or so. We'll be back. Do keep your questions coming in to @BHT Radio. Tweet us. Peter and ready to take your questions. A nice tweet coming here from someone who's already impressed with your deal to judge bash, Peter. Equi-AG, I don't know who he or she is, loving the judge bashing with Peter Storr and Pammy Hutton. Very entertaining for a Thursday morning. So you've earned your spurs. You've done well. You've hit the ground running, Peter.
Right,
welcome
good.
to the team.
Good.
It's been a pleasure. But it's been a pleasure to watch already this morning. Mark Todd go into the lead with 42.9, and then Alexander Bragg is on 44.6. Tina Cook currently in third with 47.2. Those are the star marks so far as Hannah works out of the arena. Peter, can you just see her score? It's
44.9.
44.9, which is going to put her into third. So very good score for Hannah, a first timer here to go into third. But next up will be Astier Nicola, whose horse had a problem in the trot-up yesterday and had to be represented and didn't. Well, Matt Ryan was a little concerned, so it'll be very interesting to see how Pierre de Benville gets on. Astier Nicolas, his horse from Rio, and we'll be looking forward to that amongst the other group of riders before the luncheon interval, include Nicola Wilson coming in at just after 11:30. And I know that Peter and Pammy have got interests. Pammy's going to do a bit of coaching here, and Peter's got Jesse Campbell on his radar, so they may be disappearing to administer some last-minute advice. What advice are you going to... What's the key you're going to tell your riders, you two, quickly?
Well, to go in and do the very best they can, to keep them settled.
I'm inspired.
To keep the rhythm. No, you're not a bit inspired, but you're actually panicking because you may well be covering for us as we...
Well, I think I've got to put I've got to put a call in to Matt Ryan if you're listening. Any chance of you nipping down quickly?
We sort of need you for your Australian.
Yeah.
Shane would be handy, Matt, if you're just sort of lurking anywhere.
Yeah, well, Matt will try and get down. But Peter and Pammy, thank you for the time being. We're going to take a short break, but we will be back at 11:10. But in a couple of moments' time, we'll be joining Joe Tunis to hear from some of the riders. Welcome back to our commentary position here, looking over the main arena here on now a partly cloudy day. Weather temperature has warmed up, and the temperature out in the dressage arena has been, well, solid so far, with Mark Todd leading the way with 42.9. Alexander Bragg, very impressive start for the first time, 44.6, and confirmation of Hannah Sue Burnett's time, a rather penalty score of 44.9. And so two debutantes in the first three currently, but it's Sir Mark who leads the way. Matt Ryan has been keeping an eye, and as Pammy Hutton has gone off to offer words of wisdom to Nikki Roncaroni, who will be going at 11:42. Astier Nicola will be coming in. Matt, Peter Storr will be joining us again. Do keep your tweets coming in at BHT Radio, whether you're listening to us on the earpieces, which if you come into the grounds, or in the car, or online, watching us on the TV streams and various outlets. But wherever you are, you're very welcome to this first day of the Mitsubishi Motors Badminton Horse Trials. And say, get your questions in for our team about any dressage tips, cross-country questions, you name it. Matt Ryan's here, can answer a few questions. He's walked the course and has certainly got some views on the course. But on the dressage front, that's what we're concentrating on. We are privileged to have two people who know exactly what they're talking about. Peter Storr, judge, coach to a very successful British pony team, which we haven't really sung his praises enough, but we surely will in a few moments, as Astier Nicola comes into the arena. Matt, welcome to the team in this after dressage. What was your best dressage score at badminton?
Oh, crikeys, I can't remember. I'm going to probably say probably in the 20s.
All sportsmen, it's all sportsmen, like remember their best round of golf or their best tennis match. So come on. Well, obviously it wasn't very good then. Anyway, Peter, Astier Nicola, Olympic silver medalist. Now, Matt, we were at the Trot Up yesterday. How's the horse moving?
Well, look, sometimes you can't see a horse evident of being a little bit unlevel until they get into the trot. That's when it's most obvious. And he's cantering at the moment. He's looking pretty good at the canter.
Yeah, because Peter, yesterday definitely was an anxious moment for Astier at the Trot Up, because people were it didn't look as if he was as free-flowing as he should have been.
Yes, he was a little bit short behind, but so far so good.
And Astier, of course, brilliant last year, and will be this is his second time at badminton, and this horse has also competed at badminton as well, and finished with a score of 49.3, I think. Says he, just confirming everything. In 2015 they competed here and scored 49.3 in the dressage, and then went double clear subsequently to finish 9th.
Peter is picking up some good 7.5s, and there was an 8 there, I think, in one of the other half passes, and not looking at all unlevel. So this is pretty good, Peter?
Yes, it is. I mean, the horse looks absolutely fine, and he's nicely forward and quite positive. Showed a nice medium trot as well, which is when you can sometimes see when they're a little bit stiff.
Just lost a little bit of rhythm going across in an extended trot, but certainly from from a quarter way now got a lovely rhythm.
Really, really nice. Just a slight loss of balance that was there, wasn't it?
So it's just halting now. One of the things the judges are looking for, Peter, is that sort of complete immobility. They don't want to see the horse shuffling, particularly don't want to see the horse taking a step back.
No, it's really important that the horse halts square and has the thought of staying forwards.
They scored 38.5 in Po last year, and they opened up in the Olympics with a score of 42, and then had 4 faults in the show jumping and 2 time faults in the show jumping in Rio to finish, obviously, on that silver medal.
Well,
position.
The individual silver, but he also was part of the gold medal team, so he came away from Rio with a gold and a silver medal. Very impressive.
Well, you did all right in the Olympics, Matt. You came with 3 of those wretched things.
Just seeing Astier picking up an 8 in the medium walk.
And I think he'll probably get a good mark for the extended as well. I thought the extended was nice. 7.5s and a 7.
And pleasant transition up into the canter directly out of the walk at sea.
Good ground cover in the medium canter, collecting, and a nice expressive flying change.
His general canter is very expressive, isn't he? He's got what they call a good hock action there, coming up quite naturally big behind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just yesterday's trot up, there were two horses who were held. One of them was Grand Maneuver, along with this horse, and I think it's just coming through that Grand Maneuver is being withdrawn because he's got a bit of a problem this morning. So I'm just checking. He slipped over in concrete 5 minutes before trot up yesterday. He's just a bit stiff this morning. We have to look after him. That was Grand Maneuver. So that was why there was the concern. He passed, but obviously not quite as he should be this morning. So Laura Collett has pulled out.
This horse is actually really doing some nice work. It's had 2 8s for the last flying change, and I can see why. It's got real expression. It's not just performing the movement, it's actually putting some height and air time into the flying change.
And that's when you start to get beyond your sevens, basically, isn't it? You start
Absolutely.
getting expressive, yeah.
And moving on to the stretch down.
Bit limited there, maybe, in the stretch?
Yeah, I think, you know, the problem is a lot of the riders are thinking that they need to actually keep the nose forward, but the neck needed to stretch more, and it was. Well, we've got an 8 for that, a 7, and a 7.5. So the judges didn't mind that.
No, they didn't.
I would have preferred a bit more of a stretch down.
2 great flying changes on the centre lines, though, as they came across those short diagonals. 8, 7.5, 8 for the first one, or was that the second one?
Yeah, really nice. 8.5 for the second
yeah,
one.
2 8.5 for the second one. Oh.
Expensive transition there, where he didn't quite just pick the trot up straight away.
The horse almost anticipated that he was going to come back to a trot and trotted a little early, and he kicked on for the canter stride again and then picked up the trot at X. Or was he meant to be trotting at I, or L rather?
Yeah, he has to trot at
L.
At L.
So
yeah.
that's what happened. He came back to a trot, then picked up the canter again.
Yeah, so that was a little expensive.
So your scoring, so I like the way you described 4.55s. They are bang average. Is that all?
Well, basically,
poor?
one of the judges is saying it's between insufficient and sufficient.
Right.
So they're technically the movement has been performed, but not in a particularly good quality way.
And it's a real shame because he got 2 4.5s and a 5, and the Halton Salute 6.5, 5.5. There was a 7 there as well. That mark, those little leakage of good marks, could really maybe sort of ruin a really good dressage score.
Peter, as a judge, what's the highest mark you've ever given for some? Have you ever seen what you consider to be something
Excellent.
that's perfect?
Yeah, 10. Well,
It's not perfect,
Yes.
it's just excellent.
Yeah, a 10 is excellent. So it doesn't say that it's perfect. And yes,
So where do you go? Where do you go up beyond excellent then?
Well, you don't. That's it.
That's it.
You can only give up to 10.
Right. But I mean, what I'm saying is if
It goes into first.
well, Astye Nicola, the Olympic silver medalist. So what's that score there? Is it 40 or
41.5.
Yeah. 41.5. So Astye Nicola is into the lead. Now, we have got a stat that's saying you need to be in the 30s to win.
Well, that's a pretty good stat. But if you've been listening to some of those interviews that Piggy's been doing, everyone's saying this is not going to be a dressage competition. Of the riders that have walked that cross-country course, they're all coming back saying, "Bloomin' heck, it is big, it is tough. This is not a dressage competition."
So, Peter, I mean, 30s. I mean, in eventing terms, when you get into the 30s, the quality of dressage is just been transformed now because the quality across the board is.
I have to say, I think there's some very nice horses and ways of going, we're seeing. And he got a 41, and he was on 73%. I sort of judge it more on the percentages because I'm used to that. And he was getting 72s, 73s there. So it is possible for people to be getting 75s and above, if they're doing everything in a good way.
I think if he hadn't have blown those couple of movements down the centre line, he could well have just crept into a 39 or something.
He would have done.
Yeah.
He would have done. Because also you take a little bit off the submission mark for the slight mistakes.
Okay, well, coming into the arena next, we have Dan Jocelyn, who is into the arena, and Dan is riding a Dasset Cool Touch, And this horse has, well, Dan's competed at Badminton before, but it's the first time for this horse here at Badminton, the 46-year-old New Zealander.
Dan's a very experienced rider, been based here in the UK for donkey's years. I don't know how many years. I only haven't known sort of Dan living here in the UK. It's a very experienced international rider.
A slight mistake there at the beginning of the medium trot. He broke into Canter, which will be expensive. It's interesting the quality of his canter as he came down the centre line compared to the last horse. It was a completely different quality. He was a little bit on the forehand and not always in a clear 3-beat rhythm.
And just for the collector trot, I missed what he got for the mediums, but for the collector trot at 6, 5 and 4, so there's quite a range there from a 6 to a 4 in the collector trot. But generally all over, Dasset Cool, crikey, can't read the horse's name. Where's that horse's name gone? Dasset Cool Touch, that's a horse. It's just got, his movement's just a little less impressive than the last French horse.
And I think it also comes to the way the horse is built a bit. You know, this horse is built a little bit lower in the front than he is in his hind legs, so he's always going to struggle a little bit with keeping himself uphill. He needs to work extra hard with his hind legs to keep himself uphill.
Going across the extended trot now, he's sort of a bit conservative because he broke in the medium trot before. He was just a little conservative, didn't want to do that again. So it was some reasonable lengthening, but not very dynamic extension.
Yeah.
And there you've got scores of 6, 6.5, 6.5.
So again, the judges are saying it's okay, aren't they, but not super. Interestingly enough, the halt there, he was resting a hind leg. When that really is considered below satisfactory in the pure dressage terms. One judge giving a 6.5, another giving a 5.
And these two finished 13th at Burley last year, 59.8 in the dressage, but then
This walk looking pretty good. He's got a good score for the medium walk, and that extended walk he did, he's stretching out a little bit. He's got a good, nice over track. I'm expecting 7s from there as well. Sort of putting my neck on the line here.
I would be expecting that as well.
scored Bramham last year 49.1, best dressage score for the horse. That though is a 3-star.
Okay, so that extended walk got 7.5, 8 and 7. I'm glad they judged that. Because I thought it looked pretty handy, that extended walk.
Yes. But it's the one pace that the horse doesn't need to think about uphill balance. And here we're seeing again the canter just lacks a little bit of spring, energy and activity to create that good 3-time rhythm and fluency.
So his flying change, you got 3 6s there. It was clean. It was they were all together and everything. Just swishing of the tail, a little resistant, not very expressive, but 6s I think probably suited the change. Medium canter across and shortening up and then doing a flying change at the end. How'd that look, Peter?
I'm not awfully sure whether that wasn't 100% correct behind.
No, I reckon it was late behind too, yeah.
Yeah.
It's got 6.5, 5, 6.5 for the extended canter, then 4s for the flying changes.
It's interesting, we were saying earlier that the judges are agreeing when the changes are making a proper mistake, but sometimes when the changes are correct, we've had some differences, where one judge will give a 5 for a correct change.
He's doing the circle now where a horse should be stretching down. Not seeing a lot of stretch there. Would you like to see more stretch than that, Peter?
I would want to see a lot more stretch, and actually the horse just went into his natural balance a bit, which was a bit downhill.
He didn't score too bad. 2 judges gave him 7, the other judge gave him 5.5.
Again, a big difference there, isn't it? Again, slight resistance to the change aid there.
He got 6s, 6.5 for the first flying change, but then he was late behind in the second flying change, and all the judges gave him a 4. And then just struggled to maintain a decent canter rhythm as he turned down the centre line. The halt looked okay at the end there. Yeah, good halt and salute. 7, 8, 7.5.
Tell you what, Pam might be pleased to see this tweet that I've just got. Love Matt Ryan. Hold him hostage for the rest of the weekend. Min. Come from Min. There you go. Don't blush, Matt. I thought you were an impervious Aussie to things like that. But anyway. So
I'm not blushing, I'm just sunburned.
But I just confirm, Astier Nicola, that was a score better than his Olympic test. So that is excellent for him to be right in the mix after that. 41.5, beating his Rio score by half a point. And if any score sub 50 for Dan Jocelyn would be right up there with the best that he's got out of this horse before. So waiting on his score, and I suppose it is appropriate. We've got and let's though now rejoin Piggy French.
I'm now joined by Astier Nicola. Astier, you have just gone from strength to strength with this horse, and it's just fabulous watching you in there, but he looks like he's a horse that you can really go in there and ride a test and get every mark from.
Yeah, exactly. He likes to be on stage, and he's better when he's in front of the crowd, and yeah, you really can go for every mark, as you say. He's quite cool in his temperament, so that's very helpful.
And gone into the lead, and there could have been a few marks better as well, wasn't there? Just a couple of little mistakes, just snuck in up the centre line at the end, but in the lead at the moment.
Yeah, well, I quite need a vet during the test for that. It's him getting a bit old. That's why it's always a bit difficult, and it's been indeed after all the collection work, he starts to get tired in his back, and that happens. But I know it's him, and also he's always giving me more than I think. And a few years ago we thought he was gonna get to retirement. So if you put that into perspective, he can afford a few medical mistakes.
Well, he looked fantastic, and it was a pleasure to watch, and kick on, and all the best for the rest of the week.
Thanks.
Okay, well, that's Astier Nicola, who's gone into the lead with that performance with his Olympic silver medalist horse, Pierre de Benville. He was happy enough, but as Piggy said to him, he knows he probably lost a couple of points here and there, but he's still right in the mix. Dan Jocelyn's score came through 56.6,
I think it was, 56.6, put him in 11th position.
Yeah, well, but another of the debutants, but, well, he's definitely in the veteran class here, but he's so excited to be here. Shane Rose, his body's taken some pummeling over the years, but he's back, he's here. He's competed at Olympics, and he was a bronze medalist from Rio as well. It's Shane Rose and Shanghai Joe, his 11-year-old. So good to see him. So, Matt...
yeah, fellow Australian, super competitor. He's not based here in the UK. He's based in Australia, and has done for a long time. But serious competitor. He's probably been the leading Australian rider based in Australia, and he's just spending a little bit of time over here. He brought a few horses over for Rio and left them at Sam Griffiths' place, and Shanghai Joe's one of them.
And he's had not only survived thyroid cancer, facial reconstruction, and a superbug.
Yeah, it wouldn't worry him though.
Tough these Aussies.
Yeah, he's as tough. He's tough as you get. So he's well into his course now. He's just done the collector trot and then shoulder in down that three-quarter track, and now into his half pass. Peter, what do you reckon?
I think he's doing a good job. It looks nice and balanced, nicely connected to the contact, to the bit from his hands.
So even from here, we can hear the horse is grinding his teeth, Peter. What's the judge going to think of that?
Well, it depends. I think if you just hear the grinding teeth, but the horse looks fairly relaxed in his way of going, I think you can slightly forgive it. I think it can be a concentration thing. Some horses, some types of horses, breeds of horses, do it more than others. I think this horse seems quite relaxed and quite easy, so I don't think they'll be thinking too much of it.
Well, it couldn't be too much, because he's pretty consistent, getting 7, 7.5, 6.5. Hasn't got an 8 yet. A little stumble there at the end of his extended trot. Probably not a dynamic extended trot. Now just coming into a hold. The horse put his foot back. Not quite immobility. He's trying to hold it. But pretty consistent so far with the 7s.
Yes, and that's an expensive halt, isn't it? The good thing about this test is you have the mark for the halt, and you also have a mark for the rein-back, so the judges can reward you for your rein-back but not for your halt if you make a mistake or a mess of your halt.
Well, he wasn't hammered. He got 3 6s for the halt, so he wasn't hammered. I think he's a little fortunate to get there, but we won't sell anyone. 7, 7, and 6.5 for the rein-back. And now he's going for the half 20-metre circle in the extended walk, going to get the horse stretching, taking bigger steps. One of the things the judges, I've been told, Peter, that are looking for is the over-track, the print left by the front foot. They want to see that back foot, over-tracking that print as much as possible.
Yes, absolutely. And they're looking to see the horse looking active, willing, relaxed, and with some purpose. That walk could have been a little bit more supple through his back and taking a slightly longer step.
Yeah, and as you said, he got a 5, 6.5. He did get 7. One judge gave him a 7.5 for that half circle.
That's an interesting combination. 5 from one judge, 6.5 and 7.5. I would have thought that it was a bit better than the 5.
How would have you marked that change? A horse changed behind before he actually asked for it, quickly went back to true canter, and then did a nice flying change. Well, it was a true trying change anyway. That was a tricky one to mark.
Yes, I saw it as it's definitely a mistake in the change, isn't it? So it can't be a high mark. In fact, a 3.54 and 5. It's got to be under the 5. That's the main thing, because it was a clear mistake.
So going across an extended canter now. He's got to shorten up. We're looking for a flying change at the end of this extended canter. Did get the shortness and got the flying change. No mistake there. Was it flash enough for a 7, Stu?
I think it was a bit on the flat side, but it was okay. It performed the movement, but not with a huge amount of quality. So therefore, the judges are saying 6.5 and 6, which I think is fair enough.
So he's done his second half pass to the centre line, and he's got 2 more flying chains on the short diagonals as he crosses the centre line. These are the 2 last. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. He's got this half circle reaching down first before he goes into those flying changes. Is there enough stretch there?
Not enough, really. Really looking for the horse to stay in self-carriage and but take the reins forwards and down.
But 6.5, 6 and 6 for the half circle.
Correct flying change. Again, we want to see a little more expression like we saw with the French horse. Rather tight and tense in that flying change.
So if the first flying change you got 6, 7, 6.5, was the second one pretty similar?
I thought that was a bit. Oh, they thought it was a bit better. I thought it was a bit worse. Again, you can see the horse rather trying to lean down on the rider's hand, not stay uphill enough.
Yeah, when that came to that Canter Trot transition, he just kept on bearing down on his hand, didn't he? A little bit. But still, nice halt at the end there.
A proud Aussie?
Yeah, look, we'd love to see Shane do well here. He hasn't done any competing, or very little competing here in the UK, and certainly this is his first time at badminton. And yeah, look, we're sort of away from home. We all fellow Aussies like to see other Aussies do really well. Good scores at the end there, 7, 7 and 8 for the Halton salute.
So, Matt, Ryan, pleased with Shane Roan's effort at his first badminton, the experienced Aussie who has been enjoying his experience of coming here and being applauded out of the arena, and he can be satisfied with his job. Next up, we've got one of the stars of British eventing to come into the arena, Nicola Wilson. Wherever you're listening to us here on Radio Badminton, or you're watching the various live streams from around the world, you're very welcome to this first day of the Mitsubishi Motors Badminton Horse Trials. Matt Ryan sitting in while Pammy Hutton does her best to encourage Nicky Roncaroni, and then Peter Storr will be nipping out to help a Kiwi rider, Jesse Campbell and Cappuccino, to do his best. Do you work a lot with Jesse, or is it just
yes.
Have you been a regular? And what are you expecting from him?
Well, this horse he's a real trier. He's not quite in the same league as some of these really smart younger horses, but he's a real trier and he can do a nice correct test.
Well, what can we expect from Nicola Wilson, who's coming in on Annie Clover, the 13-year-old Irish sport horse? Now, I got a tweet from someone definitely confirming when I was talking about an Irish sport horse earlier, definitely part of the Irish breeding, where making me know that to promote their wares. So anyway, but this is a horse by Newmarket Venture. Nicola, a regular competitor here. This horse has had one go at Badminton as well. And just trying to check what this horse is. Well, Annie Clover last year finished 4th at Burnham Market with a score of 40.7 in the dressage. And Lexington in a couple of years, 45.6. So dressage scores, you know, we expect something in the mid-40s here probably.
Yeah, but if I just backtrack to Shane, because we haven't read out his score, he got a 51.5, and I reckon Shane will be a little disappointed with that. I think he probably, even before he saw the score, he might have been a little disappointed with the test he put together, and I'm sure he would have loved to have been in the 40s at least. So never mind Shane, he's renowned for great cross-country riding, and everyone says that if he'll walk the course, it's a tough course out there. He should shine.
Well, fingers crossed for him, but let's got our fingers crossed for Nicola Wilson, who has finished 7th here and has done it 3 times, but well, obviously hoping to improve on that, and was riding this horse at the 2014 World Equestrian Games.
Quite uphill, that Canter coming down the centre line.
Very nice entry. The halt could have been a little more square, but the main thing there was the slow move off. She took too many steps of walk to move off. One judge has given us 6.5, the other judge has given an 8. I think it's important that they have a crisp transition into trot. It's a nice uphill type of horse, though, isn't it? Yeah,
the collected trot, she's been given 2 8s and a 7.5. The shoulder in that they do, it's on the 3/4 track, and it's really quite difficult. Quite often the shoulder in's on the side, and we can use the side as a bit of a laneway to help keep the horse straight. But it's so much more difficult keeping the horse straight without any fence, without any barriers. So that's one of the things a judge will be looking for.
Yes, it shows up any training faults, really.
In this half pass to the left, the horse is just showing a little bit of unevenness, and sometimes when that right hind is meant to be tracking up right underneath, the right hind tends to struggle a little bit more than the left hind, and my interpretation is what showed up there a little bit.
It was, yes, exactly, and some resistance to the contact, but look at that lovely ground cover in the extended trot. Not quite held to the end, but it was still a very nice one. Smooth, easy transition.
Oh, and what caught my attention was the back hind movement there too. It was sort of really coming up. Some horses get very flashy in front but don't match it behind, but that horse looked really active behind, didn't it?
Very, really, really good behind.
Scoring 8s here for movement number 8, or that's the transitions, 2 8s and a 7.5. So these scores are racking up quite nicely for Nicola.
I think one of the things the riders can overdo sometimes is the transition back from extended or medium trot to collected trot. They try and show too much of a difference, which makes the horse rather tight as they come back.
For the rein back, got a heap of 7s, and now for the medium walk, she got 3 7s again, so working sort of well up above the 70% at the moment. Just watch the half circle and extended walk there. Was that a big enough walk for you?
Well, I didn't really study the overtrack. I was more looking at the way the horse was walking, and I thought he looked loose in his body and fairly easy.
She made a mistake in that transition at sea. Was meant to go directly from a medium walk into a canter. I'm not sure if she cantered too early and pulled her up, or did pick up the wrong canter lead.
Picked up the wrong canter.
And stuck her head up in the air, quite resistant, also a bit resistant for that flying change. So that really good trot work is suddenly being brought down by 4s and 6s in the canter. Flying change there, although it was clear, it was 5.5, 6.5 and 6. Just a bit resistant, showing some resistance there. And it looked like the horse was resisting for that half pass to the right as well.
Exactly. He was trying to almost hollow and come a little bit above the bit. You see, as he comes back, he tends to become a little too hollow and above the bit, with his head and neck for the actual flying change and the collection back.
Yeah, the actual extended looked quite good, but it was that transition, wasn't it, when he really just sort of became...
So what he's not doing, he's not really accepting Nicola's half halts.
So the extended canter got 7.5, 7.5 and 7, but then the flying change, not too bad, 2 7s and a 6.
Now for the stretch on the long rein.
He's just starting to show a little bit of stretch in the second half of the half circle, but probably a bit limited there as well.
I would say that was a fairly poor stretch. It wasn't really stretching down enough. Be interesting to see what the judges think. Oh, 6.5 and 1.5. I think the one in the middle was the fair one.
Flying change across the short diagonal, 6.5, 6, 6.5. And the same, the second one all looked okay, but not very expressive.
Absolutely. And I think the judges will be taking the way the horse is accepting the rider's aids in the canter into the submission mark.
So the second flying change also got a 5, so just a little less on that second flying change. Nicely down the centre line, nice immobility and halt. Well, it was still anyway.
So Nicola Wilson completes her test. Now, fingers crossed that she's got off to a good start here. They did compete back in 2014. Their score then was 50.5, but then they had to be withdrawn after the cross country, I think, where they were withdrawn after the dressage in 2014. So.
Well, the dressage test she just did then, I'm sort of describing two halves. The trot work and everything was really quite flash. We were really liking it, and she was definitely getting 7s and 8s, so she was in the 75%. Then the canter started and dropped way down into more towards the 50%, but she's getting some good marks at the end there, and she's got a score of 48.7. That puts her in the 7th position here. I reckon she kept, if the whole test was in trot, she would have got an 80%.
Yes, exactly. Very nice trot work. Shame about the resistance in the canter work. I think it's quite, you can see quite a lot with the way the horses walk out after the test, whether they're really trained or they're accepting the aids in the right way, and they stretch down on the long way, and this horse is walking out rather high and above the bit.
Have you said the score?
Yes, it was a
48.7.
48.7, yes.
48.7. So, well, it's better than the last score she had here back in 2014. So that must be. And just looking at the horse, how he's done as for dressage-wise, well, it's probably roundabout standard, I suppose. Let's just have a look for the horse result. Well, yes, a couple of years
out of it, Rupert, come on.
40.7 at Burnham they scored, so actually probably she might be a bit, but that's a 3-star, 4-star level. 54 in Poe last year, and Lexington 45.6, so right par for the course.
Yeah, look, I think that horse potentially could get a lot better score. The fact that she did so well in the trot work, just maybe needs a slightly different approach in the canter work. Look, one of the things that we were always told the judges look for is a polar highs point, the nose on the vertical and everything. But sometimes when you try and ride a horse up there, they come above the bit. They get a little bit stiff, a little bit against you. So maybe, if I was riding him, my first impression would be, well, maybe don't try and keep him so high in the canters, get him a little bit deeper, a little lower, and it's not going to get you great marks, but it might be the lesser of two evils. So to speak.
Right, well, Peter's exiting stage right to go and look after Jesse Campbell, get him ready for his test. Pammy Hutton is just coming in to proceedings, having given the best of her advice to Nikki Roncaroni, who is coming into the arena, the 38-year-old British rider, riding a 13-year-old, Grey Gelding by Frodo Baggins to give him breeding. And Pammy, welcome back. What advice have you given Nikki, and does the horse feel for her in good shape?
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
The no is, she informed me that when he started sneezing, that was bad news.
Okay.
And he looks like he should win the world as far as dressage is concerned. He's a nice, good-looking horse with good movement. Now, having ridden him myself, he's got quite a Jekyll and Hyde character. And we're just hoping... Which one's the nasty one, Matt? I can't remember.
M, wasn't it? Judge-wise?
No, Jekyll and Hyde.
Help me out here. Jekyll, wasn't it?
Well, we're hoping that the nice one stays on board.
I just wondered why.
It's looking okay. Pammy, 7, 6s and things, so...
Yeah, what he can do is he just all of a sudden can go. It brought me right down to earth being in the collecting ring, because, you know, we pontificate up here, and the real world is that this horse is meek and mild with ears pricked and as nice as he looks. If you just ask at the wrong moment, I mean, all the toys get thrown out of the pram.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like she's just being a little bit careful, Pammy, isn't she? She's just trying to keep the lid on, is she?
Well, we decided that we had a bit of a dummy run at a competition locally. And, I mean, he kicked out and he bucked and he stood on his hind legs and showed the judges beautiful shoes. And so I think that's a good halt. We're going to be on the cautious side.
Right.
She scored 49.2 on this horse at Le Moulin in 2000. On Stone Edge, I should say. Well, on this horse, good effort. And just had 0.4 time faults.
So good scores in the halt there, 7, 7.5, and then also a couple of 8s in the Rainback. So so they're good scores, Pammy.
Yeah, but, you know, I watched you ride, and, well, you were quite good in your day, Matt. You know, I can understand as a rider and trainer not knowing this horse, you could sort of half say, well, do you shorten up your reins and give it a boot in the ribs and just get it really in front of the leg and keep the contact? And funnily enough, he just doesn't always let you do that.
No, so, but once again,
Even if
getting
you
the
do it
scores,
tactfully.
the medium walk, good 7.5s. That half circle where it was extended walk, 2 8s and a 7. So as long as the rest of the test is in walk, we're going to get really good scores.
The rest of the test is in walk. Well, in our demo, we're being really brave. We are bringing in para riders, disabled and more able-bodied, or not necessarily. And so hopefully you'll see 9s and 10s of walks a little later on this morning.
So actual Max, some good scores for the Canter, the first lot of Canters, but the Flying Change, was it late behind?
Yes.
She got scores 4, 5 and 4.
Yeah, that can happen. But again, this gets back to how much connection, or just really sort of having a little bit more leg to a little bit more of a gentle contact. And you can see there he's allergic to noise, and he was looking in the stands, so even though it was a fair Flying Change, it was not round enough or soft enough. It stuck its head up in basic terms.
But not bad scores. The Canter half pass before it, she got a couple of 7s, and the medium Canter she got coming across a diagonal, there's a 7 in there. Yes, you got 6 and 6.5 for Flying Change, but they weren't too bad. And now half pass left, 2 more 7s and a 6.5. So not bad scores.
No, I hope she gets an 8 for that. There's the dreaded sneeze.
That's the half part. That's the stretching down on a half circle.
Yeah.
The horse was stretching down quite nicely there.
Well,
2
didn't
7s
like
and
it.
a 6.
Yeah, they didn't like it. Who's that mean person at sea?
Flying Change across the centre line there on that half diagonal, coming back across again the other half diagonal, coming up to the
Boy.
Flying Change.
Martin Plua at sea.
Well, they were right about the first Flying Change. It needed to be clean. The second one was.
So the first Flying Change got 4.5 and 4, 4. Let's see what they got for the second one. 6, 6 and 2 lots of 6.5. So that was much better.
But just altogether, the difficulty is just how much we can compress him and have him a little bit more active. But she's going to be delighted because he didn't do what he did 10 days ago, which was to basically send us all to hell.
She'll be delighted. Are
Sure.
you delighted?
Yes, I'm relieved because I stood watching him on the side of this advanced medium test going, oh my God. 2 weeks ago.
And so, happy days. So for Nikki Roncaroni, hopefully, she will do better than her score in Le Moulin with 49.2. And she's just had the one recent run at badminton. So fingers crossed that she gets a good score with this horse. 41.2 she scored with this horse at Blenheim. That was back in a CIC 3-star at Blenheim. So who's to say that she won't come up with a good score? But trotting away out of the arena.
Well, they gave her nice marks as a rider.
But now let's go back and rejoin Piggy.
Now joined by Shane Rose. What a beautiful horse. A lovely, lovely type, model. Great sort to have here at Badminton. He just looked a picture in there.
Yeah, no, I was very happy with him. He's only a little young fella, and yeah, he tried his heart out. I thought his trot work was really, really nice. He just got a little tight in his canter to begin with, and then I think they apparently took a couple of marks off for that, probably.
That would just be an experience, so I think with the atmosphere and everything, of just a bit of tension just creeping in.
Yeah, he's just got to get stronger. Like, once he gets stronger and learns to push in that canter work like he's in his trot, then I think that'll get a lot stronger and more consistent.
It looks a fantastic sort, and the sort that you want here at Badminton, and you've obviously walked the course now?
Yeah, no, we walked the course yesterday afternoon, and yeah, it's big and strong, so yeah, like he's fairly inexperienced, but I entered him here because I think he'll cope, and hopefully we can do a good job tomorrow on Saturday and see where we end up.
Well, he looks like one of my favourites already, so I'll be following him with interest, but best of luck.
Yeah, thanks. He's got such a lovely nature. Everyone who meets him loves him, so yeah, thanks.
Good luck.
Shane Rose talking to Piggy French next in the arena, and a big day for Lydia Hannon, 28-year-old from Oxfordshire, has been working up the way through the ranks with her 13-year-old bay mare, My Royal Touch, and has been competing to good effect. Competed at Le Moulin last year, where picked up 50.6, and although it didn't subsequently work out so well for her horse in that event, but all the same, she has been progressing and putting in some good performance, and I know she'll be so pleased to be competing here. And and they had a great Blenheim last year where they finished third, having got 45.3 in the dressage, some time faults in the cross country, and just a fence down in the show jumping to finish third. That is a good effort, because Blenheim is one of the most competitive 3-stars around.
Just going back to Nikki Roncaroni, we haven't told our listeners what score she ended up with. It was a 50.6. So, Pammy, you, the trainer, the rider, are they going to be happy with 50.6 for Nikki Roncaroni?
She is coming from where, and everything's relative, isn't it? But, one would love to have just had him a little more on side, to have gone and broken into the lower 40s, and it could be achievable with that horse and rider, but he doesn't.
But you're quite pleased, so that's
quite pleased.
That's great.
Yeah, very pleased.
So Lydia Hannon just starting her test, nicer down the centre line, halted immobility, but one of those back legs was stuck right out the back there. Pammy, what are the judges going to think about that?
Well, I'm going to probably, Matthew, mark not square.
Yes.
And drop it down to a sort of 6, as they have done.
Yeah,
6.5.
But really interesting medium trot across that diagonal. That looked pretty dynamic.
Yes, he's a smart little horse, active, and is he a little croup high? Is she doing a great job on that outline?
Help me out there.
Active behind. Is the back end a little bit higher? If you took the saddle off, is the back end a little bit higher, 1 centimetre higher than the withers?
Well, looking at the scores, the judges quite like it. 7, 7.5, 8's a good handful, so she's working in about the 75% at the moment in this trot work, looking pretty nice.
And I like the activity. Sort of looks punchy, and she's able to sort of just really get into it and ride it a little bit.
Yep. But still...
It's accurate. She found her 3/4 line. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, I was just saying the shoulder ins, the half passes, all getting 7.5s, 8s.
And you look at those hind legs.
Really active, those hind legs. So I was saying before that sometimes horses can be very flashy in front, but a bit trailing behind. But Lydia's horse is really coming up through behind in that medium
Stunning
trot.
halt at C. Square, tiny little bit of tension in the rein back for the 9. The halt was good. The transitions are being rewarded with 7s and 8s. This is getting high marks.
There's an 8.5 there, yeah.
The judge at E has fallen in love with her. I think that's the hind legs.
That's Anna Metabinder.
Yes, well, this horse is showing commitment and activity that we haven't seen for a few tests.
And could you say that Lydia's actually riding the horse in a positive way, trying to show the horse off as well?
I would say that.
Now, of course,
she's doing a really good job.
Yeah, you've got to make sure you have a horse that's not about to explode to do it, but it looks like she's being very positive in everything she's doing.
But there was the frustration as a trainer. I'm sure Nikki would tell you herself. that's what she would love to do with the grey and can do on occasions, but they don't always just get out of bed and say, I'm yours, I'm going to do anything you say today.
First little bit of resistance we saw of Lydia in the transition, the walk-canter transition, and a little bit in that flying change there. How do you rate that flying change?
Well, here I'm creeping towards the 6s because I thought that was, you said a little resistant. I thought that was quite a big resistance. But the judge at C has given an 8 and the judge at E has given a 5. And on this occasion, I'm with the judge at E.
Yeah, it's a bit of resistance.
And again, the resistance at the beginning of that extended canter, I've clean interrupted you. Sorry.
No, that's right.
At M. So there is just a little bit of, actually, it's got its tongue over the bit.
And it resisted a lot with that tongue over the bit, coming back from an extended canter. Really didn't come back to a collected canter. Almost fell into a trot. Did a very ordinary flying change, if you could call it a flying change.
You couldn't. And here, I don't know whether the tongue is back under, but there is no worse feeling than at the end of the rein when the tongue has come over the bit.
So that flying change got 2 3s and a 4.
Yeah, she's very, very lucky to have salvaged the marks. And I think that canter circle with letting go of the rein always gives a horse the chance to bring his tongue back. So is she back in business or is she not?
Might be. Oh,
no.
Resisting for that flying change.
See, I don't like that. I don't mind the 8s, but where a 4 or a 5 is relevant. So we've got a 4.5 and a 6.
And a 6.5.
I'd have given it a 5 because it happened. 4.5 might be a bit harsh, but a 6.5 is in need of glasses.
And the second one too, possibly a bit lenient. 2 5.5s and a 6.
It's worth remembering that last trot, Matt, is supposed to be collected. There are quite a few riders going down there thinking,
charging down there.
hooray, we're finished.
Yeah.
So Lydia
Well,
Hannah.
got 2 8s. So what do I know?
It looked like the judges really liked this horse, and they were a bit forgiving, weren't they, for those flying changes, some of that messy canter work. But very likeable horse.
Good way of describing it.
Well, we'll get our score in a moment for Lydia, but in the meantime, back to Piggy.
Now joined by Nikki Roncaroni. Nikki, that was lovely, and it was so gorgeous to see you finish and make such a fuss of him. You absolutely adore this horse, don't you?
Yeah, I've had him a long time. I've had him since I broke him in and rode him away as a 3-year-old. So, you know, we're a good partnership. But he is an absolute rascal, and you know, has the potential to be really very, very naughty. And you know, he had a little bit of a break throughout last year. So, you know, he's only done Belton this spring, and so to come here and basically keep it together. You know, there were bits that could have been better, of course, but you know, I think to get to this level in itself is pretty special, so I'm taking it.
And do you feel happy having just done Belton, coming here with a course like this, having had time off, both of you together? Are you confident?
Yeah, I'm very confident in his ability. I had a super run round Le Moulin, albeit it wasn't quite as big as this, but I know that he goes the distance, and I know he's got loads of scope and lots of jump, and he is a horse that relishes things being difficult and tricky, so the more you ask of him, almost the better he goes. At least, you know, that's what's happened in the past. So you know, I've only managed to get out and walk half of the track so far, which is, you know, the meaty bit out the far end, and it is, you know, it's big and it's badminton, but this is what we're here for, and you know, I'm very excited.
Well, it looks a great partnership. You're going to need a great partnership to finish this competition well, so good luck, girl.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nikki Roncaroni talking there to our collecting ring reporter, Piggy French, who's got hearing there. Now, the score of Lydia Hannah, Matt, is
45.8, putting her into 5th position, so just below the 70% marks. 69.8, 69.8, 68.75.
Well, she'll be, I'm sure, delighted with her first badminton dressage, although there were, as you say, the odd mistake. Mark Todd's still out in front. My score's been slow to update. Astier Nicola is out in front. With 41.5 following his test in this first group of riders this afternoon. And
you said he was your favourite, Matt, on the way in. I heard you.
Astier, yeah.
I think that. That's what I wrote down. Somebody said he was favoured.
Well,
At this stage, to produce a good dressage score.
Well, I think we were listening to Dermot doing all the stats and everything. But I tell you what, the test looked really good, though. A couple of little mistakes at the end there, which probably cost him getting into the 30s almost, but looked really good. I was a little concerned because at the trot up, the horse did show a little bit of unevenness, but didn't see a sign of it in the test. It looked great.
Well, next in we have another British competitor. Willa Newton is in. She's a former junior and young rider medalist, and so competing here for the first time with horse and indeed herself, the 27-year-old with chance remark, 15-year-old Bay Gelding, and good luck to her. They've best dressage score with this horse is 47, which they achieved at Hopetoun. Is that how you pronounce it?
Hopetoun, yep, up in Scotland.
Up in Scotland, and has competed at 4-star level, but with a different horse, and Moulin a couple of years back, 47.9. That was with Newmarket Vasco 1.
Well, it started smoothly. I watched her working in outside with a good rhythm, which she's brought on into the arena. Being technical, there was a little tiny bit of a head tilt, and a loss of rhythm just going into her second shoulder in. Having said her rhythm was good.
And Willa last year won the 8 and 9-year-old.
But she looks very elegant on a horse.
At Millennium. So she's got some good horses coming through.
Yeah, Willa is a very elegant rider, isn't she?
She is.
And, she's hasn't got over a 7 yet. It's the horse, you could probably say, isn't very expressive. Everything's very rhythmic and attractive, but paces aren't particularly expressive.
Yeah, and, conformationally helpful for the spreads, but he's quite long in the back, and it's difficult to, when you stand back, we're quite a long way away from the dressage arena. The hind legs could on occasions go a little closer to the front legs.
So scoring mainly is in the 6.5s, 3 7s there for the halt, but she's sort of scoring in between 6s and 7s as general. So let's say she's working on about a 65% at the moment.
But they're at least being very consistent.
Now going into the extended walk.
They've levelled up, Rupert.
What?
Did they have good coffee?
Who?
The judges.
Well, they must. Maybe they have a chat and then sort of review this.
Well, they shouldn't either have a chat or review. I mean, they can talk about the weather.
Right.
But
is that sort of they're definitely not allowed to talk about the tests?
Well, yes, they can talk about the tests, but obviously I'm a little bit outspoken. What sort of words you can't say. Do you think I'm marking a bit harshly this morning? And perhaps I could have marked that one a bit higher.
So how do you have a general conversation without to ask that question
with
without
more tact than I have?
Without asking.
With more tact than I have, Rupert.
And Will has moved into the Canter work now, and straight away sort of picked up the first time above the 7, 2 7.5s for the first of the collected canters.
Yeah, the flying change at the end, I think, could have gone a little more forwards. It came up off the floor a little. It didn't just stay in the ground covering.
Got a 6.5, 7, and a 7.5 for that flying change.
If it's got so much expression, it could get a 9 if it just came a little more forward.
This Canter is just a bit more expressive and a little bit more flamboyant than the natural trot, isn't it?
It is. And he's, until he shook his head at either the wind, the camera, or an fly that was invented, he was just starting to look a little more uphill. But
still getting the 7s for the half past right. The flying change was 6, 6.5 and 7 for the extended Canter. Just waiting to see that flying change mark. There was a little bit of loss of rhythm before it. Yeah, 5, 5.5 and 6.5 because that transition back from extended to collected didn't quite melt.
So she's stretching him. He's very relaxed, shows that well. That should be back to the 7.5, 8. Let's see, it's 7.
7s for the half
Yeah,
circle.
I like that. I thought that showed a lot of softness. In the flying change, if you look at it, it's not any longer a question of whether it's right or wrong, but why doesn't it quite go to the 9? It's a little jumpy, jerky.
But quick and sharp, isn't it? Sort of skips across
They're
rather
probably
than,
better words,
than having that moment of elevation. Sort of.
I just think sitting on it just could do my back in. Doesn't take much these days.
But 6.5, 6 and 6.5 for the second of the flying changes. Look quite straight and settled and rhythmic down the centre line. 2 8s and a 7.5.
And that was nice. It was a very settled, and look at him standing there absorbing badminton on a completely loose rein.
There's a 9.
Utterly unfussed.
We have a 9 from Judge C for the
Second
Horton
9
salute.
of today that I've seen.
A 7 from Judge B and an 8 from Judge M, but a 9 from our Danish judges. Is our Danish judge our president?
Hang on. Back to my piece of paper.
Or is it Martin Pleuer, the German?
Martin Pleuer.
Yeah,
Martin
he's
Pleuer.
C.
But you see how relaxed this horse is. Now that is how to have a horse at badminton.
So Willa Newton, who had a
As long as
great...
it wakes up on Saturday, Matt.
She had a great autumn last year, as I say, winning that 8 and 9-year-old class at Blenheim. She also had a top 10 with this horse at Blenheim as well, so she's been in good form. Matt now is exiting stage right. Thank you, Matt, for your contribution. As Jesse Campbell's coach is returning, Peter Storr has done his bit. Matt will be regularly on throughout the week here at the Mitsubishi Motors Badminton Horse Trials, here at lunchtime, and in the evening as well. We'll be rounding up the action with Matt, but Peter Storr is back, and there is a score. Can you give me the scores on the doors, please, Peter? Bring you straight in.
46.2.
Well, that's a great start. 46.2 from Willa Newton. She'll be pleased with that, with this horse to kick off with that. Both Lydia Hannon and Willa Newton, 2 debutantes from Britain, and both getting scores in the mid-40s. Now, another... Well, now is your man, Jesse Campbell, is coming in on Cappuccino. And what's the word on the street, Peter?
Well, he looked really good outside.
It's nerve-wracking out there, isn't it?
It is. It is.
It's a completely different ball game. You think,
It is.
oh my God, no wonder.
Were you nervous, Peter?
We don't know. Well, he probably doesn't get nervous, but you know, you sit up here and we.
I think I get more nervous for watching people than for actually doing it.
Well, I made the mistake of looking at fence 2. I thought that was pretty big for fence 2.
Well, now, as I say, Jesse Campbell, quick Cappuccino, former racehorse.
So how much do you help him?
Yeah, fairly regularly. Yeah, he's a fantastic rider, you know. He's a really talented rider.
Is he the next gen of New Zealand superstars?
Absolutely, I think so. I think he's very well thought of.
What's he got that you think could catapult him to the top in terms of his riding ability?
Well, he's talented, but he's very focused, and you know, attention to detail and things like that he's very good with.
I'll tell you what, that's some pair of hands.
Yeah.
They're turned over, thumbs on top. Christoph Hess talks about the thumbs being 2 chimneys on the house that sit on the top of the house and shouldn't slide off. Those are classical hands, and actually he looks... You train him. I was going to say classically trained, Peter.
Oh, well done.
Sitting on his seat, a horseman. These New Zealanders are really rather good.
Yes, he is, and he's very tall, extremely tall. Yes.
How long have you known the horse?
Only this year, really. Oh, you know, sort of this year.
Have you seen him through this test?
Yes.
Couldn't remember it when you arrived today. So
no, I couldn't. You're absolutely right.
So the hind leg left out behind at halt. That would be what they call a Pammy transition, not a Peter one normally. And that is only medium trot. That's all they're asked for. A little bit of returning early, I feel.
I was just thinking that as well.
Returning early.
Well, he comes back well before the marker.
Okay.
But the collected trot is punchy and it's really forward going.
Yes, and he's nicely to the contact, isn't he?
He is.
And rhythmical.
And he rode into that shoulder in on the 3/4 line. One of the best I've seen, because he didn't ride onto the 3/4 line and shove the quarters out. He rode onto the 3/4 line and moved the forehand to the left.
I think that was quite nice. I'm pleased with that.
Yeah, 8s.
Perhaps I'm not going to do any judge bashing now.
No, I think. But this, you know, we've seen Mark is lying second, and here's another. This one's going higher.
Nice transition
I have
back.
to tell you. 8.5. 2. Don't hurry. Don't hurry. Just a little bit of tension. Just went a bit quicker than meant, I think.
I was holding my breath there because the horse is very sensitive and he's a real trier, and I think, yeah. So the horse
break in the walk.
Yeah. So he's
So
obviously.
you're saying he's better if you can just keep him going. Hold sort of the reining back and
The halt is normally all right. It's just the rein back he gets a bit stressed, and obviously he was a bit nervous in the extended or the medium walk there. So obviously low marks there. Now he's got to slow down a little bit and make sure that
Look, Peter can't breathe, Rupert. I know you're dying to interrupt.
Well, I'm going to say he scored 36.8 at Le Moulin 2015, this horse.
Yeah.
Well, if it just stayed settled, and now there's a major resistance and a little bit of all the toys going out of the pram, he must stay inside the arena. Now, this is not easy. Where's he actually supposed to go? He's asked for the Canter strike-off. Is it the diagonal line?
Oh,
and this is the second circle. And now he's picked up Canter. Now, Peter, you better explain, because you're the judge with all the requirements.
Okay.
At this point, as a jockey, I just keep pointing in the vague direction on the correct leg or the wrong leg, and wait for the horse to settle.
So basically, he changed legs. Luckily, he changed back. So that is very expensive. The transition to Canter. In our FEI dressage, if they make a circle, you go to -2.
And if you do 2, which he did?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's 2.
So that's 2 times 3, that's 6. That's 12 marks off for 2 circles.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that it's got 2 and 6 and a 2 for the change of rein. And that was because some of it was on the wrong leg. So the 6 is too high, the 2 might be a bit low. Now he should get back to picking up the scores, but the end marks are going to suffer very much from the fact that there was a bit of extra curriculum circles.
Yes, that was an expensive, very expensive also for the submission mark.
And I think what it really shows, as I was saying earlier before Peter came back in, we don't have the slightest idea how difficult these horses can be. They have to be so fit for the rest of this badminton horse trials. And this horse rather told us, I think.
Yes, exactly. And I think the main thing is a little bit also the atmosphere, I think, for them to come from a quiet environment out there to come into here.
2 nice changes. The confidence now coming back with the horse. He just almost lost his nerve.
He did. He panicked a bit there, didn't he?
Yeah. I would say that this rider has ridden this really skillfully.
Yeah, he has.
Because many a person could have lost their nerve on that top corner. Been jumped out, it rattled the boards, that would have meant elimination.
Well, frustration for Jesse Campbell, but with that, so we'll wait till his score with interest, and now we can once again rejoin Piggy.
I'm now joined by Lydia Haddon. First time here at Badminton, and a very respectful mark.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just all the training at home's been great. It's just them producing it in the test. She's a little bit hot in there, so there's a few little iffy moments, but she's amazing. I'm so lucky to be here, and it's just it's exciting.
It was a very good mark, and I thought in the Canter maybe, do you think she had got her tongue over just a couple of times?
Yeah, that is a little bit of a habit that we have. She came out here, sees the crowds and gets quite switched on and excited, and the tongue comes out at some moments, so that's why that extended back to the flying change didn't really happen. But yeah, I mean, as long as she gives me that much attitude out in the cross-country course, it's pretty big out there, so yeah, I just thrilled with her. It's great to get it done, and yeah, it's nice. I'm going to breathe now.
Well, it's great to see such a big smile and so much excitement, and hope that we see this smile still here on Saturday afternoon.
Yes, if I'm smiling this much on Saturday, it's gone well. So yeah, it would be amazing.
Good luck.
Thank you, Vicky. Cheers.
Lydia Hannon talking to Piggy French. Now we're just waiting on the score for Jesse Campbell to see how he has got on. But next into the arena, another debutante here, Sarah Parks, the British rider, 29-year-old. And also other half of Ben Way, who will be competing later. And so she's riding Balladeer Durban Hills.
That shows you, doesn't it, Peter?
What was the score? Have we got the score?
It's interesting. Yes, he had he's had some good marks. The judge at seemed to hammer him a bit on the impulsion as well. He would have lost a lot of marks and he got 5s for his submission. So that's it's expensive. You can't go in and make those mistakes.
I found it really refreshing that these judges actually marked down the submission to a 5 and still gave him 8.5 as a rider.
Yes. Yeah.
That, I think, is refreshing.
Yeah.
Because very often in our dressage,
as soon as they make a mistake,
if you make a mistake and then you get a series of 4s and 3s, at the end marks are 6, 6, 6, and you didn't ride any better either, 6.
Yeah, and I think, that...
But I thought he deserved that 8.
Yes.
And I think there the judges' directives are wrong, because you can still be riding brilliantly, or nobody else could do a better job and still deserve the 8, when sometimes for some reason you've had to have a 5.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Next, Sarah Parks.
Sarah Parks. I'll tell you more about. I told you about her being the other half, based in Warwickshire, and this is her 4-star debut. So, big moment for her.
Oh, I can remember the butterflies. I nearly threw up at X. It was completely terrifying. But she looks very confident. I was not. She's had a lovely 8 from the senior judge at C, German. I wonder why the other 2 gave us 6 and 6.5.
Yes, it was a nice square hole.
I thought it was...
It took a little time to get there, but it was nice.
Had a run out at Belton, and recently, like so many, finished 21st, 51.6 in the dressage.
Again, a forward punchy trot. This horse has a long hind leg, a very slightly shorter front leg, and I'm only saying that because it doesn't aid the whole vision of uphillness.
Absolutely, you can see this horse a little bit struggles with his balance to stay uphill.
Rupert, you're happy with uphill, are you? The front end being up a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm getting good with me uphills.
You're getting good with your uphills?
I've got a scoreboard problem here. It's not updating. So I'm typing away to someone's... I need someone to help me.
Yes.
And again, we're seeing the horse a little bit on the forehand, not really wanting to push himself from behind in that extended trot.
It was a little modest, could have shown a bit more. How many steps?
5 steps.
Yeah, that was a bit short in the steps. The extended trot, I can understand the 5.5, and then there was a 6.57. This horse, compared to just 1 or 2 of the ones that we've seen today, is just lacking in the forward, uphill, look at me, wow factor.
Yeah, and we saw another horse like that earlier on, but again, fairly nice extended walk.
Yes, relaxed. 6.5s and 7 for the medium walk. The extended walk, you're going to give that more? Peter's choking.
Careful.
6.5, 7.
Pass him some water, Vicar. There we go. We don't need Peter to collapse on us.
But again, 7, 6.5. It's just a little bit ordinary. Could show a bit more, but then we're sitting on 2 chairs were not sitting on the horse. I don't think that this guy is just really easy to get up in front of her that little bit more.
That's it. He's rather resistant to the connection there as well, so he tries to keep his body a little long against the rider's aids, not really willing to stay supple in the flexion and bending.
Could you explain to me, oh judge, how you can give a flying change at 7 and 2/4?
With difficulty, I think, but it's only seen here.
Specsavers?
Yes.
Okay.
You mean it doesn't happen in pure dressage?
Well, would hope not.
Look, 4.5, 6.5.
It is the constant debate, isn't it?
A flying change is either late or correct.
You're absolutely right. So therefore, it should be satisfactory or, you know, sort of bad or sufficient. Sufficient.
Somebody said to me the other day, my flying changes are a little bit maybe late.
A little bit late.
A little bit late. They're late or they're on time.
Yeah.
I couldn't see that, could you?
I could, and that was a perfectly clear late flying change.
So you couldn't see it?
Hugh's box.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Sorry. I thought
And again,
I thought you judged.
No, I can see perfectly well. Actually, you know what this could be? It could just be that this horse is not yet established in his flying changes.
Yes, because
as critical as we're being, some horses genuinely can't get their heads round flying changes.
It's quite a hard thing to teach a horse, isn't it? It takes quite a few months to get them really established. And interestingly enough, they've given the right marks for the second flying change. The horse actually changed legs behind on approach, so becoming tense and anticipating. And then when she asked for the flying change, the horse got confused, ignored the aid, so she had some 2s and 3s for that flying change.
Well, we'll see. He scores around about average of 53 on a 3-star level, competing for the first time at 4-star. But let's now head back out to Piggy French, who's talking to Jessie Campbell.
Jessie, gosh, that was a frustrating moment in the middle, because then afterwards he looked beautiful again.
But, you know, that's horses, you know, they're not machines, and got to take the rough with the smooth, and yeah, I don't know what happened. I think there was quite a lot of flies in that sort of top end of the arena, and I don't know whether or not he just got a little distracted, maybe the tongue went over the bit or something, I'm not sure, but disappointing, but you know, he did a lot of good stuff as well, so we'll see.
And everyone's on about Saturday being massive and pretty scary. Your views?
Yeah, I'm quite happy with it. Like, it's big, it's in your face, but it's quite obvious what you've got to do, which I think is, you know, will jump well. There seems to be quite a theme to the course, and I think horses will jump really well.
That's a very good Kiwi laid-back attitude to have, and good luck.
I say that on Saturday morning, but
well, good luck.
Thanks so much.
Well, that's Jessie Campbell talking to Piggy French after his test earlier today, and just checking what he scored, looking down my list here. It hasn't updated the score at the moment, but Astia Nicola is currently the leader, and he scored 41.5. One more to go before the luncheon interval. Pammy's going to be doing a demonstration that will be entertaining, and should certainly learn something as well. But the final rider coming in, Peter, we now have Austin O'Connor from Ireland, the 42-year-old, riding Kilpatrick Knight, a 12-year-old bay gelding. Also, surprisingly, an Irish sport horse coming in, and it's the first time for the horse at Badminton, but Austin has competed here a couple of times. So and another one who was ran at Tattersalls last year, this horse, picking up 42.3 in the dressage to finish second at the CIC 3-star there last June.
Okay, and I think we can see a very different type of horse to the last horse. This horse has got lovely uphill conformation with his head and neck. His neck is set on nicely, and he's showing a nice canter into the halt to Took a bit of time to establish the halt. And then the move off. I like so far the way of going. Nicely uphill. Powerful steps, really pushing himself along from his hind legs. And showing a nice difference at the end, back to collected trot. You can see the pole, that's the point in between the horse's ears. It's the highest point. It's what the judges are looking for in a good outline. Positive steps, active, forward. Nice uniform bend. The horse looking in the direction he's going as he crosses over in the half pass. And then moving on to the shoulder in on the 3/4 line. And again, nice angle, positioning. And again, a nice forward, active half pass. This horse so far is showing some really nice work. I think they're actually being a little bit conservative on the points.
Yeah, because it's got a lot of impulsion. And I am getting ready to leave you, and I'm looking forward to this demonstration, ladies and gentlemen. Just to interrupt this test for 2 seconds. No loud clapping for a second when they come in. Let's just get the para horses settled and no loose horses. But do clap at the end would be marvellous. So I'm going to leave this safely in your hands, Peter. Here come your 8s at last.
Yes, he's doing
Enjoy, Pammy.
Good test.
Actually, I may leave the premises, I think. It'd be quite nice to go home or to the pub.
Yeah, we need you this afternoon. Michael Young's in action this afternoon. And Rory Bremner's coming up.
Really nice ground cover in this extended walk. Horse walking nicely forward to the bit, taking the contact forward, relaxed. Should be a good mark. Showing a nice transition to medium walk again. And with a nice rhythm. Very nice transition to canter. A little conservative, but a very nice uphill picture and a clean flying change. And the medium canter. Here you can see the rider just preparing, bending the horse to look where he needs to go for the half pass to the left. Very nice positioning. And sadly, the horse became tense and then tried to make a flying change. So he'll have lost marks, will be, I should think, below sufficient for that particular movement. Collecting back from the extended canter and the flying change. Could have jumped forward more with the inside hind leg for the flying change. Whether this horse gets a little uptight in the half passes and thinking about coming out. Yeah, he again tried to straighten himself a little bit before the end of the half pass. We have marks from 7.5 to 5 for the flying changes. Again, the judge at M seems to have difficulty spotting whether they're late flying change or not. A nice stretching on the circle and a clean flying change.
That was a lovely understated way of having a pop at a judge.
Well, I mean, the judge at M sort of said that the change wasn't even sufficient.
Hello?
Oh, he's actually forgotten to do his. He's going back to do it again. So he's had an error, of course, there. What he's done is he's come down the centre line and halted from canter without remembering his collected trot towards halt. Really expensive. He'll be really kicking himself, I should think, after this. He's done a nice test. Again, the horse not quite sure of the rider's aids. Was he supposed to halt again, or was he supposed to trot?
So, disappointing end for Austin O'Connor, who brings the first session of this first day of the Mitsubishi Motors Badminton Horse Trials to an end. Pammy Hutton is heading off to get ready for the demonstration, but as you say, Peter, a rather frustrating end for Austin. That
yes, he did a really nice test and some real quality work in that test, and it's a shame that he made that mistake because that's an expensive error.
So, Peter, what's your plan over the next hour and a half? Have a good lunch somewhere? Have you got a good invitation somewhere?
I'll try and find one.
Okay. Okay. But what you see, Nastia Nicola is in the lead. How do you assess the morning's work? We've got some really good combinations coming out this afternoon, including, of course, my Mikael Jung coming out, but with the 41.5 as a starter for the week.
Yes, there's some nice horses, some tension and mistakes, but hopefully we'll see some higher marks this afternoon.
Looking forward to that. As I say, we've got the demonstration about to get underway. Pammy's poised with her microphone to lead us through if you're in the collecting ring. Listening to us, you'll listen to us on the radio, wherever you're listening to us, whether it be here at Badminton or online, or indeed you've been watching us via the various live streams. We're going to take a short break for lunch here, but be back for the next test, which will be the old man coming in, Jean Telaire, 63 years of age, coming in, remarkable, on Matelot de Grandval. He'll be the start off. Lisa Green also making her debut here, daughter of Lucinda. She's the second rider. That starts at 10-2, and Mikael Jung's test is at 14:46 if you want to put that in a note when you need to be in the arena or watch, listen, whatever, to see how he gets on the horse that he won here 12 months ago, La Biosatec Sam. Well, Pammy's doing a bit in the arena. We're going to take a short break here on Radio Badminton.
The scores that we had on those sheets are confirmed, all of them.